This is Suzanne Stumbo, and this section is on locally grown vegetables, which has great potential and is the in thing and what everybody is interested right now. We also, again, have several of our local grocery stores that want to buy local products. We have several restaurants that are begging for locally grown fruits and vegetables.
My name is Shawn Wright. I'm an extension specialist with the Department of Horticulture. I'm currently based at the Robinson Center for Appalachian Resource Sustainability in Pike County, the old quicksand station. If people do have questions about this and they would like to contact me further, my phone number is 606-666-2438, or the easiest way to get a hold of me is shawn.wright@uky.edu. Today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about Eastern Kentucky vegetable production and the opportunities that exist for you in that realm. There's a lot of different opportunities, and I certainly can't answer all the questions or even present all the information in a short time like this. So my goal with this presentation is simply to provide an introduction to the general concepts, the important points, a few topics that are of interest, and then some more sources of information for you. Some of the additional sources of information I have listed right here. The local cooperative extension agent, of course, is the first place that you would like to start. They're very aware of what's going on in your community, the marketing opportunities, what's of interest to people in your communities, and other opportunities, even more so than your state specialist. So start out locally, and if your extension agent can't help you or if you need more information, feel free to contact me as well. The UK Center for Crop Diversification is another source for information. There's a lot of opportunities that are listed on there. We have enterprise budgets for many different opportunities listed there as well. The UK Department of Horticulture as well. UK publications along this line, we have our Commercial Vegetable Production Guide and IPM Scouting Guides. There's a lot of these available as hard copies that your extension agent should have available in the office. Otherwise, they are available as PDF documents on the web. And of course, the Kentucky Department of Agriculture has all kinds of information for you as marketing opportunities, farm-to-school programs, some of those things that I'll be mentioning a little bit further along. So these are just some sources for information. Talk to other growers, as certainly that's also a good source of information as well. They know what works well in your local area. What I want to do now is just hit the three main summary points of this topic. These are the most important things to do with vegetable production, more so than the specific production practices, and these include marketing, quality, and timeliness. If you can get these three things down, the production aspects will follow right along. Marketing. This is a very important subject, probably the key to anything. We like to say that you need to put in a production system that supports your marketing system. Without a market, what you have is a hobby, not a business. And unless you have lots of spare time and resources, there's nothing wrong with doing vegetable production as a hobby. But if you're looking to turn this into an enterprise, you need to develop your market first and put in a production system that supports what your marketing system is going to be. There's lots of different opportunities for production marketing. You can market retail. That would be my first emphasis for people in Eastern Kentucky, would be retail marketing. We don't have the land area in Eastern Kentucky that places like the Midwest have, or even Central and Western Kentucky, where you have vast land areas, large acreages, where you can produce large amounts and market to the wholesale markets or the produce auctions. Retail is going to be your key market for vegetable production in Eastern Kentucky. You can market directly from the farm, you can market through farmers markets, direct sales to restaurants, bed and breakfasts, those types of operations. That's where you're going to make the most amount of money. Institutional markets are certainly a good opportunity for people that have a little bit more acreage, because then you can target the large wholesale type operations. You produce 1 or 2 or 3 crops that you can market in a bulk to the school. What you need to do if you're interested in that program is contact the Kentucky Department of Agriculture Farm to School program. Also talk to your local food service manager at the schools to see what they're willing to purchase, what package they need it in, how it needs to be packaged, when they need it. It doesn't do you a lot of good to be producing vegetables in the summertime if the school can't use it at that time. If they do have a summer feeding program and that available, there certainly is opportunities there. Some schools have that, some don't. Another opportunity for people is the community supported agriculture. This is a program where you sell shares of your produce from your farm. What you would do is you would advertise, figure out what your production is going to be, people purchase shares, and then every week or every 2 weeks, twice a week depending upon what you agree to do, they get a share of your produce off of that farm. The nice thing about community supported agriculture is that your participants help to fund your program initially at the outset. They give you some working capital so that you can purchase your seeds, your chemicals, and those things in exchange for produce that comes off the farm later on. That's something to think about if you do have limited resources as well. It's not an opportunity for everybody, but it's certainly something to think about. And probably my last target that I would recommend for people that are interested in vegetable production in Eastern Kentucky is wholesale. Most producers in Eastern Kentucky don't have enough land that's suitable for vegetable production to be thinking about wholesale production. Another key to marketing is know what your customers want and how they want it packaged. If you're going to be targeting more of the seniors, selling at farmers markets and selling to seniors who are using senior food coupons and things, they're going to want smaller packages than somebody that has a large family. So whether you're marketing things in pints, quarts, bushels, know what they want and how they want it packaged. Some people want smaller sweet potatoes, some people want larger sweet potatoes. Those are just things to think about. Whether you're producing corn, some people like yellow corn, some people like white corn, things to think about as well. A unique marketing niche that's small but growing in Eastern Kentucky are the ethnic vegetables. We have a small ethnic population in Kentucky, in Eastern Kentucky, relative to many areas around the nation, but it is there, it is growing. So your Asian vegetables, your Asian greens, those things certainly sell well in a limited area. Hispanic populations, there are certain crops that they like. There's good demand for tomatillos, there's good demand for hot peppers. A few odd things to think about that. Just know what your market is. One of our key markets in Eastern Kentucky are heirloom vegetables. People really like the heirloom vegetables, the things that have been grown for many years. And the nice thing about that is they're locally produced. Many of these heirloom vegetables weren't bred for shipping characteristics. They were bred for flavor and disease resistance, adaptability to a local area. So certainly think about that. Probably my last point about marketing is just diversification of markets and products. If you have multiple marketing streams and multiple products, you have a better chance of success, because invariably you're going to have weather issues, insect issues. Something's going to go wrong with your vegetable production during the source of the year, and you don't want all your eggs in one basket. Quality is also critical. You need to produce a quality product and market it as such. And the key to quality marketing is emphasize that you're producing a local product. Your local consumer knows you as the producer. They know that where it's been produced. They drive by your farm. They see you out producing it. They know that you have a clean operation. They know it hasn't been shipped across the country. There's tremendous demand, and it's always growing for more local production. We certainly like to keep the local dollars in our community as well. So any dollar that you spend with a local producer then gets recycled back into the community and spent several times, rather than going to the larger chains where the dollars are leaving the local community. We have good resources that you can emphasize the quality of your product as an Eastern Kentucky product. The Kentucky Proud Marketing Program is something through Kentucky Department of Ag that I would encourage you to be part of. Certainly Appalachia Proud fits in very well with that. Also Homegrown by Heroes. If you're a veteran, this is a unique marketing opportunity as well. So emphasize these quality aspects of your local production. Don't try and sell your second products. If you do have some off products that aren't first quality, you can certainly market them as processing, though. Sometimes people don't want the perfect things if they're just going to be processing them for soups or canning and things like that. So just because something isn't number one quality doesn't mean you have to throw it out, but always strive to produce a quality product. The last key summary point that I really wanted to hit was timeliness. Horticultural crops are time sensitive. You have a very narrow window to perform your required tasks. Timeliness is often weather dependent. As we say, when the sun shines, you need to get out there and make hay, even though you're making vegetables rather than hay in this situation. So you always need to have your equipment ready to go. You can't just park your sprayers and your tractors at the end of the day and think that you'll get around to cleaning them, calibrating them, and getting ready to go when it's convenient. You always have to have your equipment and everything ready to go, because you never know when you're going to have an opportunity to get out and work in the field. One of the other aspects that really hits on the timeliness is labor availability. Vegetable crops are very labor intensive. You can't do a lot of things from the seat of a tractor, so you need a good labor supply. If you're dependent upon high school students for your labor source, be aware that often many of your products will come on when the kids are back in school. In the springtime, you often need things done when the kids are still in school. So often, depending upon the school labor source, isn't going to work for you. So you need to either know where you're going to get labor or be able to rely upon your family for additional labor. Those were the key concepts that I needed to get across for any type of vegetable production. Now I wanted to hit some of the production considerations just for you to think about initially that relate to all vegetable production. Business planning comes into any type of vegetable production. Do you have a market? Do you have the labor source? Do you have adequate capital and equipment? If not, do you know where you can get that? Do you have support for your enterprise? Vegetable production is a lifestyle. It's a family operation. If you were used to taking a 2-week vacation every summer with the family, vegetable production may not fit into your family lifestyle. Do you know where to get your technical assistance? Do you have access to technical assistance? Certainly your local extension agent, the specialist through the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension System can provide that, certainly through the Ag Economic Department as well. Are you good with people, or are you willing to hire someone who is? Many people can produce a vegetable crop, but one of the keys to vegetable production is being able to work with people. Because as I emphasize in my summary, the key is marketing. You have to have a market, and part of marketing is being good with people, being a good salesman, knowing what your market is going to be. So if you don't like working with people, you better have somebody in your operation that is good with working with people. Site selection is critical. Typically for vegetable production, we're looking for a site that has a 4% or less slope. So that does limit many people in eastern Kentucky. These reclaimed mine sites are opportunities, but often the soils on those sites aren't appropriate. But there are opportunities on these reclaimed mine sites where you can grow vegetables in soilless culture and compost tubes. There's a lot of different operations. High tunnel production on these reclaimed mine sites would be a good opportunity potentially for some people. You need well-drained sites, both in air drainage, so that you're not sitting down in a frost pocket where you're going to be subject to a late spring frost and an early fall frost. Also soil drainage. Vegetables don't do well in soils that don't drain well. Fertility is important. Access to water can be a make or break situation for vegetable producers. As a horticulturist, I prefer drought years, but I have access to irrigation. In a dry year, you're going to have less issues with disease conditions than you will in a wet year. So I always hope for a dry year, and if we get a wet year, we deal with the disease issues as they arise. You really need a minimum of 8 hours of direct sunlight for good vegetable production. You need enough land for crop rotation. This is often a limiting consideration for many of our producers in eastern Kentucky as well. Because if you follow cucurbit crops like squash with another cucurbit crop like watermelons, with another cucurbit crop like pumpkins, if you follow these crops year after year in the same plant family, you're going to have disease issues building up in your soil. You're going to have a lot of problems. So you need a good rotation system, and just be aware that lack of land is often a limitation for vegetable production in eastern Kentucky. One of the other struggles that many people don't think that they're going to have to deal with until they start producing vegetables is wildlife damage. Deer, elk in eastern Kentucky, turkeys, birds, these are all things that you're going to have some way to deal with, because they will come in and they can do significant damage to your vegetable production operation. I always like to say, don't guess soil tests, because Lyman fertilizer recommendations are critical. You can take your soil sample, drop it off with your county agent, and they can get it into the diagnostic lab here at UK, where they'll do an analysis of the soil, let you know what the pH is, they'll let you know what the fertility requirements are. Adequate pH is the single most important soil amendment factor. Low pH can be improved through amendments like lime, and that can make a world of a difference both in the growth of the roots and nutrient availability to your plants. But you don't want to over apply. So if you're involved in vegetable production, you're typically going to take a soil sample once a year, because there's no point in wasting money on excess fertilizers, excess lime if you don't need it. Trickle irrigation is very important. I like to see people using trickle irrigation versus overhead irrigation. You have less disease issues. You also use less water. It's less capital expenditure versus the overhead irrigation as well. You don't wet the areas between your rows, so you get less weed growth. It can be automated. You can apply during windy conditions. You have less damage to your crops through diseases. You can also inject fertilizers with your water. So if you're going to be involved in vegetable production, I like people to think about the opportunities in trickle irrigation as well. Integrated pest management, you need to be thinking about how you're going to be managing diseases, how you're going to be managing insects, how you're going to be managing weeds. IPM is a common sense holistic approach where you use variety selection, cultural methods, you use rotation, you use monitoring, you use a whole host of opportunities in controlling and managing the diseases, the insects, and the weeds that are out there. Now I want to get into just a few crops that I think are good opportunities for people in eastern Kentucky. This is the website for the crop diversification website. I would encourage you to look at that. There's good information. There's enterprise budgets that will give you the basics of production. They will also give you the costs and potential returns for some of these crops that I'm going to be talking about. And there's many more than just a few opportunities here that I'm going to be presenting. Sweet potato production is a great opportunity in eastern Kentucky. They draw in fall customers. We have a lot of fall festivals in eastern Kentucky. Very easy crop to produce. Labor requirements are about 20 hours between planting, weed management, that per acre. Hand or machine harvest would work out to be about 70 hours per acre. Your fixed and variable costs overall for equipment, land, supplies, fertilizers, and all that, as a rough estimate, are $4,000 per acre. This is assuming return to land and everything else. It also depends upon what equipment you have already available on that. Returns based on an average yield of 425 boxes per acre. Pessimistic returns would be $740 per acre. A conservative profit would be $2,800, almost $3,000 per acre. An optimistic yield, if you do everything right, have a good growing year in that, you could potentially see returns of $4,000 per acre. Muskmelon production is another opportunity, 15 hours per acre for production, harvest 72 hours per acre, because you have multiple harvests for this crop. Grading 5 hours per acre roughly. Total cost, fixed and variable, $3,200 roughly per acre. Returns, you could be looking at a loss of close to $300 per acre if things don't go well. Conservative return, $800, close to $1,000 per acre. An optimistic, a good year, everything goes well again, would be $2,000 per acre. Tomatoes, very popular crop. Plant early and late to really target, those are the high value times. Labor, production, 60 hours per acre. Harvest labor, 600 hours per acre. Grading and packing, 100 hours per acre. Fixed and variable cost, $10,000, close to $11,000 per acre. Returns, you could easily lose $500 or more an acre. Conservative yield, $600 an acre, or an optimistic yield of about $2,000 per acre. This is, I think, a real good opportunity, would be a farmer's market vegetable mix, retail sales at farmers markets. Sweet corn, everybody's always looking for sweet corn, but if you don't have a lot of land available, I don't really recommend it because the production per the amount of space that's required really isn't as good for sweet corn as it is for other crops. Tomatoes, beans, peppers, cabbages, fall broccoli, onions, there's a lot of different crops that can fall into that mix as well. There's also opportunities for non-edible ornamentals. These would somewhat could fit into the vegetable realm as well if you do have vegetable production. Cut flowers, cut stems and berries, fall ornamental mix. Pumpkins, cushaw melons, gourds, fodder shocks, straw bales, broom corn. These are all opportunities as well. The fall marketing season is one of the largest retail marketing seasons of the year. People are willing to spend money for nice displays like this. Broom corn wreath, gourd art if you have an artistic bent, ornamental corn, mini straw bales, gourds. Just my final thought that I would like to leave you with is enjoy your enterprise, because this is going to be a lifestyle for you. Identify your resources, educate yourself, take advantage of all the opportunities that exist for educating from your local growers, your extension service, educational programs that occur in your county and surrounding counties and in surrounding states. Prepare your marketing strategy, treat your enterprise as a business, not a hobby, and you need buy-in from the entire family because this is going to be a lifestyle decision for you. If you have further questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you.